Welcome back to RealVacantLand.com. This is Luke Smith, and today we're going to talk about land. So I just watched in the comments here before starting the show that people, it's tax season. People are complaining about taxes. Of course, that's excuse me. It's just that time of year. I'm trying to set some things up here so it streams a little faster. Let's see. Hopefully that's working. If it's working for you guys. Yeah. So I'm getting some red stuff, but hopefully it's working. So I'm just gonna go. So it's yeah, taxes. People are bummed about taxes. Yeah, I don't like doing taxes. I don't like paying taxes. But there is one thing that's really nice about the way the taxes are set up in the U.S. I'm always looking at the cup half full, right? So here's the cup half full version of taxes and property taxes. We're talking about land, so we're talking about taxes on land. And so in my understanding, or the way I've always heard it, is when guys came over, people came over from Europe, they wanted to get away from a lot of the monarchies and the big land barons and being serfs to the land, or being migrant workers, or people that are working the fields without owning the fields, whatever you call them. And so they didn't like the way it was set up, because you have these old land barons and the land passes from family to family to family on down through the generations, and it doesn't get handed out to the farmers that are actually working the lands in any way really possible. And the longer that goes on, the more concentrated the land holdings tend to be. And so they would get very frustrated, and they would have all kinds of fights about that. And eventually they're so fed up, they'd just leave Ireland or wherever they're coming from, Italy or something, and they would move to the U.S. Or Argentina or Australia or Canada or wherever, right? But the U.S. is where I'm thinking of. And they would get land. And they would get land by coming here and working it, and they were so happy. And so one of the things that the U.S. was founded on is, we got to get people here to be able to set up, economy, that people to sell stuff to, people to buy stuff from. It'd be a healthier place to live. More people come. And we don't want it to be like Europe. So we're going to have land taxes, not tax on the people that are working the land, but, it changed over time, but taxes on the land. So the people that own the land have to pay tax on the land. And if the land's sitting there and it's not being used, you don't want to pay tax on the land. And you're going to want to get rid of it, sell it off. Or if the title or the ownership is all funky and you don't really know who owns it anymore, 5 generations later, it's probably in the same family, but who really can sign off on it? I don't know. If there's taxes, people stop paying those taxes eventually because they don't feel like they own the land. When there's like 15 kids or 50 kids or something that all have a piece of it, no one feels like it's theirs. They don't pay the tax. In the county, the state, the country, whatever. In the U.S., it's the county. The county takes it back. And they wipe the title clean and they start over. They put it up. They have a hold an auction on the court steps or in the local newspaper or the courthouse, or now they have them online. But they put those properties back up for sale. And it allows and it gives a chance to people to buy those properties where they might not have ever had a chance to get land before, because it's at some cheap rate. And they're usually just trying to move it for cash, get it back on the tax roll. It's not so much about the price that they're selling it for. So lots of times they don't even get to keep that money. They get to keep part of it to pay the tax, and then the rest they put off to the side, and it's supposed to go back to whoever owns it. If they can prove that they own it, they get the funds back. That's why there's lots of money out there. People are always talking about, like, go check your names and everything and see if there's any money due to you. But a lot of that is property, just like I'm explaining, that's weird title that people don't know how to transfer. Okay, so that's why I'm excited about property taxes. Even though I pay a lot of property taxes, it gives us all a chance to get more properties. Oh, I'm on the wrong screen. I meant to be on this screen. And so so that's property taxes. And part of that still holds true in our land distributions. So when I pull lists of who owns what land in this area, a lot of the data is missing. It's not missing, but it's It's not very well filled in because the land hasn't traded in recent history. Computers have been getting better, databases have getting better, the information has been getting better over time. And so properties that traded a year ago or 5 years ago, 10 years ago, even 30 years ago have more information online about those properties than ones that haven't traded in the last 30 years or something. And so when we see prices for land, the land that's advertised, the land that's being sold and bought and sold and traded, we always look at these really high prices and like, oh, wow, how can I afford that? How can I ever get into that market and get some of that for myself? It's being marketed by a select few people. They're trying to get the most money they can. It's their right to do that. But it's also our right to not have to pay it. I mean, we don't have to pay their prices. We can offer something less. And there's a huge population of properties out there that haven't traded in, modern history, that haven't taken the time or energy or whatever to go promote themselves, that would take some fast cash if they had the opportunity in front of them, whatever that price may be. It's our job to go put that price in front of them, try to bring those properties into the marketplace. And if we do that, we can destabilize the marketplace and disrupt what's going on in the marketplace with the over advertised priced properties. And that's where rural vacant land comes in. There's there's more than a dozen people on the website right now that are doing that. They're mailing out cash offers to everybody, systematically, everybody that owns land in that area, excuse me, with specifics about that land, either the size or the zoning or the characteristics of that land, however they define it. But that subset of that overall database of land, and they price it. They say, okay, I'm willing to pay this much money, cash, like on the spot, quick, easy. I'll do the paperwork, make it really easy for you to buy your land. And, just say yes, sign here, here's your money, got your land. And then we go market it on ruralvacantland.com. And so we're good at doing that. We're good at buying more land. And so we put it up for cheap because we want it to sell fast. A lot of people ask why. Why is it so cheap? What's wrong with it? Well, we want it to sell fast because we understand the net present value of compounding our money and going back and doing it again and again and again and again. I'd rather do it a lot more times, a lot faster than sitting around waiting for every dollar it might get out of the trade, like realtors are always trying to do when it comes to selling land. They're trying to maximize the dollar per sale, which I understand, which is great. When somebody's selling like the only piece of land that they have or the only asset they have, do it. If you don't have the understanding, go get more, then yeah, maximize the dollar per sale. But if you understand how to go get more for cheap, to me, it's do it faster. And so that's what we're talking about today. Before I jump into that, I'm going to talk about some statistics and angles and strategy and stuff of how I'm thinking about sending out more mail right now, and I want to send out some more mail. Before I jump into that, I got some comments from the last week's video, disgruntled viewer, and I missed them. I was talking about land and stuff, and I missed the comments going by, or else I would try to answer them then. But I talked to the guy who's complaining because, I'll leave names out of it, but he's complaining because he didn't get the deed to his land. So I looked up, searched, and I figured out, I found the deed to his land and said, it's like the county is supposed to send it to you. Here's the name of the address, that, your name and address, contact information, everything. Here's recorded. It's publicly available from the county. I got it from the county. And I found out that I'm not the one that sold him the land. Like, I wasn't even the one selling this land. I'm trying to help you out here. But it was another guy that sold the land on my website. For sale by owner. All these people that have land on the website are for sale by owner. And the guy no longer posts properties on the website, but I still got a hold of him and said, what can we do here? And he offered to fix it, and he asked for help on the title, and so I started digging into the title because I guess it was recorded into his name and everything, but there was something wrong with the title. A property before that, it was a split in Cochise County. And so there are a whole bunch of different properties coming out of the original property. And one of the properties that was first recorded was missing some wording in the legal description when it was typed or copied or whatever. Some words went missing, and then it got recorded, so it's a bigger chunk of that piece than the piece that the guy bought. And so I'm going to try to get that fixed. I'm going to do some corrective deeds to fix that and get the land dealer his land back. So I don't think he understands the corrective deeds, but I've done a bunch of different corrective deeds, just paperwork. It's not money really. It's just paperwork to get it fixed. So if I know what's wrong and I do the steps, take the time to fix it, I can fix it. So I'm going to get the land dealer his money back, or not. I'm going to get him his land back and then help him sell that land. And so we'll probably get some more Cochise properties if I can clean up the title like I think I can. And then the guy that's mad about not getting the land, he got the land, but it's not properly recorded. I offered him some other land, some equivalent land in Cochise County, same size, same kind of attributes, same area-ish that I had. So I'm doing the paperwork on that. I'll give him some land, and then we'll get the land fixed for the guy who's selling it, so clean up the whole scenario. Excuse me. So, sorry about that. Sorry about the weird comments going by on that. But we got it all fixed up on both sides now. It's at least in process going and happening, so that's all fun. That's cool. And then I want to say happy birthday to Mysterious Granny. She was on here early in the comments and said it was her birthday today, so happy birthday. And then I wanted to invite everybody that is on listening, watching, especially if you're in the co-op posting properties on the website and you have like your favorite property that you want to highlight and say, this one's a really good one. Put your name, phone number, and a link to the property. If you could get a link to the property you want to talk about on ruralvacantland.com, that'd be cool. Put that in the comments and I'll try to circle back and maybe give you a call, depending on how much of them there are that go by. Or if you're shopping land, there's like specific ones you want to ask questions about on ruralvacantland.com. Put that in the comments, and I'll try to answer questions on that too. Just if you put a link in there, we can all go look at it and try to figure out what your questions are. If it's like zoning or access, or hopefully it's not something that's already in the ad, like the elevation or the the taxes, or something simple that's already in the listing, but something more that I might be able to answer would be great. And then I want to do this mailer, and then I want to give some land away. So this mailer that I want to do, first we give land away. So I want to ask a question towards the end. Last week I didn't really get the question out. I seeded the audience with a question ahead of time. And I said towards the end, I'm going to ask this question, and everybody flooded in with the answer. So this time I'm going to be more cagey about it. I'm going to ask the question towards the end, give everyone a little bit more of a shot. And I think I'll do what one of the guys suggested a couple weeks ago, is do the seventh responder. So it's not like the one who has the fastest internet wins. It's the one that, I'm trying to get more random with people that are watching and listening and paying attention. Okay. So, yeah, thank you. Everyone's saying happy birthday. Everyone's going by. Okay, so this mailer. I think talking about these mailers is education for people who like sending mail. I think education is an awesome way to set myself apart from other people selling land. Because it more people follow, more people ask better questions, and I'm not out for the sale for one property, right? Like, it's great if you buy one property from me and you go homestead it and everything. That's awesome. That's great. Thank you. But what I would really love is for people that come around and attract people that buy multiple properties. And lots of people have bought multiple properties from me over time. It's not just them sending their family, friends, and that kind of thing too is great. But I think education helps that come around and builds the trust and grows the marketplace. And I'm a big fan of education. So if you're just looking for one property, this kind of education is maybe just kind of advertising of how we get the property so cheap, and answers the question of why is it so cheap. It's not broken, it's cheap because we go about a different strategy of buying the land. But if you're in it for the money side, the business side of changing your personal finances and your kids' finances and hopefully your grandkids' finances, you can buy these properties and use them as tools to better your financial scenario in the world. You can buy them for cash. You can sell them on terms. You can buy them for cash. You could add some pictures and sell them for bigger dollars cash. You can point out different attributes of the property, or study them a little bit more, and it's really easy to add more of a sales pitch than what I've got on these properties to them. Or you can send mailers and go buy fresh off the boat properties too, and it's really easy to add on a price because they're just so underpriced. I mean, I'm not making sense. Just cheap properties give you lots of opportunities to make money, right? So recently, Land Academy is an educational program by Jack and Jill DeWitt, and Jill DeWitt and Jack Butala. It's two guys, Steve Butala, he uses a couple names, that two people that teach about buying real estate. I'm going to say real estate because they started teaching houses too, but originally it's vacant land. And they teach how to systematically make cash offers using data. And so that's the basis of this idea of where these properties come from. So landacademy.com, they've got a bunch of stuff to learn the basics. And we're not going to be covering the basics of mailing. You can go get it from them. But as you get past Land Academy and you get through Land Academy stuff, hopefully this is a little bit higher level. I don't know how much higher level, but a little bit higher level. They have a level 2, which they released shortly. I'm not sure. I think you still have to be a member. I think you have to be a member of the level 1 stuff to get the level 2, because level 2 is kind of an add-on to level 1. It's not like a standalone thing. And so the level 2 gets into, let me just pull up some ugly stuff on the screen. Hopefully they don't mind if I share a little bit, because I'm kind of promoting them too. This is a spreadsheet I created this morning before this call to front load this, try to save time. It's just a bunch of colors on here, and it's too ugly to leave on the screen, so I'm just going to, not that my face is better, but it's got, it's a study of the days on market, and with the idea being that the less the stuff is on the market, the more demand there is to sell it, or the more demand there is to buy it, and the easier it is to sell. And they also look at how many parcels are on market compared to all the parcels in the marketplace. And they show you how to get the data to make those calculations, right? That's their secret sauce. I'm not going to tell you how to do that. You got to go pay them. New list to sold is they study how many new properties have come up for sale in that certain time frame compared to how many were sold in that certain time frame. With the idea being, if a whole bunch of new properties came online, which I just went through and did these statistics across the whole state of California by zip code, so like every zip code in California, right? And so there are some areas that really stood out, and that's usually just because there's small amounts of data and it's just kind of outlying quirks. But then there's some areas that really stood out that weren't outlying quirks. And what I realized is there are fire zones, like what's the one near Butte County, Paradise, like the whole town burned down, basically 25,000 structure, some crazy number. I'm not gonna have the number right, but the whole place burned down. So there's a lot more stuff that's coming up for sale than is being sold, and the statistics are just puking red, bad across the board. So I don't want to go get into that market and try to compete with a torrential downfall of new properties coming on the market every day. And so these kinds of statistics guide us towards markets that have a lot more demand and a lot less supply. And that seems like the perfect place to bring new products to market, right? And our products being land. And so we know that there's a lot more land out there in the arena of land than what's really being marketed and traded. And so we can go make cash offers to the other people that aren't in the market playing, advertising and stuff, and buy their land and sell it for more. So doing that across the state of California, stuff stands out. Like Encinitas, my little hometown, and crazy demand compared to how much is on the market. Excuse me, but I don't have the money to play in that marketplace. At least not yet. Someday. Um, a lot of the rest of it is around San Francisco and the Bay Area, and I don't have the money to play with those either. But so cutting off the top dollar median house value kinds of stuff, getting rid of the small dollar stuff. Like I don't want to be in areas where the houses sell for less than. I cut it off at like $250,000 because my logic there, I may be wrong, but this is just how I'm thinking about it, is under $250,000, it's probably cheaper to go buy some houses and fix them up than to go build a new one. Because I don't think you really want to go build a new house um, in the middle of a bunch of old, really cheap houses, or even new, really cheap houses. I mean, some people do, but that's like a niche thing that I don't really want to be marketing to. And so I think if somebody's going to build a fancy house on a property, let's go someplace where the economics make sense. I like talking to the people that like to figure out the economics, and they pay cash, and they're good to do business with, and yeah. So that's let's go for those. Um, so narrowing it down. I got rid of stuff that has a lot of inventory on the market. I got rid of stuff that has really low dollars in the area. I got rid of stuff that has really high dollars in the area. I got rid of stuff where there's a lot of things coming on the market compared to how much is sold. I got rid of stuff or areas that have stuff that's on the market for a really long time on average. I mean, there's always outliers. Some of them just stick around forever, but some of the areas are a lot hotter. And so now I've got different pockets of California that look really nice to hit. And one of them is Fresno. So I'm going to work on Fresno today. I've been working on a bunch of them throughout the weekend, but Fresno has, 250 to 300, maybe $350,000 homes, average homes. And I started pulling up Fresno. Let's pull up Fresno. Let's pull up Fresno County on Zillow. I was just looking at this, and you guys can punch holes in my theory and everything. I always thought of Fresno as kind of an armpit of California. But if the prices work, somebody's buying it, right? So Fresno County, there, a bunch of weird stuff started showing up, and I started figuring out a lot of this really cheap stuff is like right downtown Fresno. And I bought houses in Detroit in the past, right? Downtown is not always the best place to buy. But it could be cheap, and the yields could be nice. And if you're just going for yields, it could be fun. So I think the people that are building new houses aren't building, they're not building on a lot like this. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong, but let's see if this thing comes up. Oh, they had some ugly fuglies in there. Like the neighbors just jump. Yeah, like old busted out van next door. That's like your lead picture of the property. It just not inspiring place to go build a house, right? I'm sure for somebody it's awesome. Put a mobile home there or something. They love it, and you can rent it out. But it's I want some inspirational land. Like I got to present this stuff too, right? It can't be it can't be groaning when I look at it. Frankie Robertson saying, "You can buy my house in Detroit, Luke, or we could trade." Yeah. Detroit's got some good yields. The prices have been going up a lot. I started buying Detroit houses in 2008. My sister lives there, and she's, everything was down and out. And you could buy houses for next to nothing and fix them up. My sister's husband's good at fixing stuff up, and she's good at renting them out. So got them working on it. Those houses have been great. They're really good. You'd probably get them for less than 15 grand all in, and back then you could rent them for like $1,100 a month. Over time, the rent slipped down to like $750 or $850 neighborhoods, but still really high rent yields. And the prices have multiplied. Yeah, so a lot of the cheapest stuff in Fresno County is, well, Maybe there's a cheap one out here, 19 grand. But they're just like these ugly city lots. And they're in certain parts, right? And this planner thing's by zip code, and so I started breaking out the zips and looking at the different zips. Like, let's look at let's just put a zip code in there. And what I started noticing putting zip codes in, I mean, there's not a whole lot of action in each zip code, but compared to looking at the whole county, I like looking at more data because it gives me more information. Smaller sets of data, it's harder to understand. I'm working on a mailer this weekend with commercial properties with another guy, and it's holy cow, there's not much data to go off of. It's really like horseshoes and hand grenades, just totally guess kind of pricing. This stuff, I mean, the cheapest thing that's for sale is 0.45 acres, 130 grand. And let's see. There's one sold in 2016 for 35 grand. It just looks like an ugly city lot. 43 grand for a lot on a street. 50 grand. 50 grand. I mean, to me, these are all crazy prices. I'm not going to offer anything close to these prices. Just see what happens. So if stuff's sold for 35, maybe I try to sell something, better looking stuff for 35 grand and buy it for half that or less. So I got, let me go back to logic this. I started pulling up each one of these zip codes, and you notice Fresno is down here. This zip code's like out here. And if you go through the list of the hot zip codes, it's like the outskirts of town. Pretty much going all the way around town. It's not downtown. It's not way out there. It's just the side of town. Like, town is growing out, and people are buying up stuff on the side of town. They're not buying stuff downtown so much. Like, there's not as much demand there. It's not happening as much. So when I say Fresno, I'm not talking about the whole town. I'm talking about the outskirts of Fresno, and the data is pointing that out to me. And the Land Academy guys showed me how to do that. So I took these specific zip codes, and I put them into RealQuest. And RealQuest is data software you can get access to from Land Academy. Like, if you go sign up to Land Academy stuff, you can get access to this and others, but RealQuest is one that I like to use. So I've got the county Fresno. They're all in Fresno County. There were some around the area there that are in other counties, but I just skipped those to keep it simple. Lot acreage, 0.18 and greater. Now I'm thinking about that. I'm going to change that to 9 because I got another mailer that just went out for 10 acre and up Fresno County, like countryside stuff. So I don't want to mail some of the same people twice. Even though I usually end up mailing myself, I send these mailers out and I check my mail like, I did it again. I mailed to myself. I keep mailing myself offers. But whatever, then I know it's working, right? I got bumped out. So I'm going to take you through the logic of what I have in this search. And I'm going to, oh, come on. Here we go. I'm going to pull this data. Then we're going to look at the data. I haven't looked at this data. It's going to be like my kids like to watch kids opening toys and Kinder eggs to see what's inside and stuff. It's going to be a surprise video. We'll see what's inside the data. I'm smiling because I like to see what's inside the data. I like to see what people actually paid for the properties. You don't really know what people have been paying for the properties, so you go pull the data. That's the cool thing about data. It's like you can see. It's like publicly available recorded data that they paid taxes on. They're supposed to report good numbers. Not that they always do, but they're supposed to. So I'm going to get my saved search. Okay, I'm going to change this to 9. Let me just save this before I get lost again. Okay, so I got my lot acreage. I'm going to do 0.18 through 9 acres. So 0.18 is like city lots, like, you know, housing tracts and stuff. You know, HOAs, and we get all the crazy stuff in there. Whether I buy them or not, it's another story, but I want to take a look at them. And then improved percent up to and including 1. So improved percent is, I should make this a little bit bigger. Maybe you can see something. So you can make it cartoon big. It's too big to use, but maybe you guys can see stuff now. Improved percent is the assessor's improved percent. And RealQuest used to have a calculation on improved percent where you could put like 0% in there, or 0 to 1 or something. And you would get all the properties that have no assessed improvements. Assessed improvements being like a building or a house or a shopping center or airport, or somebody invested money in there and the assessor gets to take up the value of the property, so you get taxed more based on those improvements. Different counties will have different versions of improvements. It might be utilities, it might be building something, it might be grading. There's lots of different things that we can consider improvements. So, but basically I don't want improvements because that's more to inspect, it's more to understand, it's more likely to have liens on the property and mortgages, and make it messier title, harder to buy. Not impossible, just harder. I'm trying to keep it simple, keep it easy. And so I want stuff that I don't have to go inspect or send somebody to inspect. Like a building, is there somebody living in that building, or, you know, that I have to evict or whatever? Like I don't want those problems, so I don't even ask for them. I just want vacant land, ready to go, simple, easy. You can see it from a satellite or Google Drive-by or something. And hopefully no one dumped like a truckload of tires on there since the picture was taken. And go for it. So improved percent up to and including 1. These guys changed their data set. They're trying to do the calculation and put it into the data now. So I changed the way I put it into these searches a little bit. Because if you pull the data, sometimes it'll have the improved percentage number in there now, and sometimes it's just blank. And so when you put 0 to 1% in there, you just get the ones that have the numbers of 0 to 1. You don't get all the blank ones that don't have all the data to fill it in. And the ones that don't have the data are usually the vacant land. You miss all the vacant land. So I just change it to up to and including 1%, and it gets all the ones that have nothing or 0 or, you know, 0.1% or something. And then I'm doing property tax. I'm doing $100 through $2,500. I think you start getting over $2,500 property tax, there's probably something built on the property, whether it's showing up in the improved percent or not. And if you get below $100 in property tax, it's probably like, you know, the park or the city, the government, the U.S. government, forestries, you know, like all those things don't really pay tax. But that's just a good way to also cut off the bottom ugly fuglies of the market. The assessor will give these really low tax amounts to properties that they don't want to come back up to auction. It'll be like $1 and $2, and it'll be the triangle in between the freeway and the off ramp. You know, like, what are you gonna do with that? Or the median in between two roads or something. Somebody got stuck with that property. It should have never been created. It shouldn't be its own property. And so they just lower the tax down to, like, usually they lower the tax down to next to nothing, so it doesn't come back up for auction, and they don't have to deal with it. So I'm trying to get rid of those weirdnesses by cutting a lower dollar tax cut. Now, I used to just leave it open and I'd get all those weird things, but now you put $100 on there and something like this, you get rid of a lot of the weird ones. If you put $100 on there in like northern Arizona, I mean, you're not going to get any land, but, you know, it's all relative, right? So land use, I'm doing ranch, residential acreage, residential lot, rural home site, single family residence. Hopefully that's where most of these are. And vacant land, NEC. I don't know if I should have vacant land NEC on there now that I'm reading about it, but I'm gonna leave it in for now. Get some weird ones there. Site zip. So these are all the zip codes that I think are hot that came back is like really low days on market. Not much new stuff getting listed compared to what's listed. The prices seem to be in areas that I think I can afford to buy the properties, and I'm gonna go for it, right? So there's the logic. Let's see if there's any questions going by on here. Nice. So there's a guy, Rusty78609. He travels from Texas to New Mexico in his RV and shows different properties. I might have the zip code wrong, however. He has a head full of nice gray hair. Nice. That sounds like a good one. I should check out that YouTube channel. Yeah. Backwoods bungalow. Having to inspect improvements would be time consuming, so vacant land makes sense. Yeah. And also like wells. I get properties with wells sometimes. It's like, how do I know the well's good? Like I can't pay for the well. I don't know if it flows. I don't know if there's actually water in there, if it's dry and stuff. So if you're just going to price it without the well, great. But yeah, same thing. People saying, Patrick Malloy saying, looking for land that is easy to get to for rec use for my RV is great as a getaway from the city. Yeah, so there's lots of them. RealVacantLand.com, we've got lots of properties to choose from. I mean, yeah, 130 plus is much higher than 30 something previously sold prices. Yeah. Okay, Metha Williams. Luke, what is the cash price for the 1 acre properties you're asking $99 a month for in Arizona? I'm not sure. I mean, I'd have to go figure out which properties those are. I'm not 100% sure they're even my properties. It might be some of the other guys on the website. I think that's going to be a more specific question. Maybe you can find one that's on the website, and then there's a contact form on the side of it. Just put in there, what's the cash price of this property? How much I got to pay to just buy it outright? And whoever's property it is, they'll get back to you with a cash price. Yeah, so Backwoods Bungalow is saying, good tip to look at specific zip codes and compare asking prices with history of previous sale prices. Yeah, so, I mean, if you look at the what's for sale and what's sold, I mean, there's a huge dichotomy. This is vacant land, right? I mean, the reality, if I can stay on the screen, the reality and the actual price, I mean, there's just huge, people market for a lot. They just leave them marketed. Okay. Here's one. Frankie Robertson. Luke, curious to know if you have property in New Mexico, Nevada, and I'm familiar with Cochise County. Yes, we've got properties in New Mexico and Nevada. I mean, pretty regularly all the time on the website, RealVacantLand.com. There's a search function on there. There you can pull up a map search, and you can zoom in and you can see the different properties. Or you can go to the listings and look at those states or the counties in those states to get more specific of the ones that are up for sale. I was just looking before this, before it came on live this morning, and right now there's 433 properties up for sale on RealVacantLand.com, and there's 1,287 of them that are sold that are posted on the website. Some of those have sold a couple times. Lots of them have sold that taken off the website because people requested I take them off the website. They don't want them on the website anymore after they buy them because they want to go market them at higher prices and things. And so I know it's way more than that's sold, but still, and other ones I've sold without even getting them onto the website. And I just think that's a good history of properties. And I sold a bunch of properties before I created this website too. This is like the third edition of RealVacantLand.com. And so that's, yeah. it's just neat to think about those numbers because it's a lot of history to me of a lot of different transactions I've been involved in. But it's some history too. A lot of people ask, why do you keep the sold ones on the website? And it's because a lot of the people that buy the properties are trying to find the properties later on. They call for directions. Not that I don't mind giving directions, but if it's on the website, it's a lot easier. Just click on the button and you get driving directions in your phone. Just click and you drive right to the property. You don't have to try to give directions all day long to vacant land in the middle of nowhere, which is not very easy to give directions to. Yeah, where do you turn? Here's some GPS coordinates. I don't know. There's no names on these roads. Revolutionary Hippie says, "Hey Luke, this is TK. I had some of the people from my eco village call to buy land. I'll be calling next week about the land we talked about. Good deal." Thank you, Luke. I'll check it out right after the show. Thank you so much. I think he's asking about the New Mexico and the Nevada. James Larson. And what's up with agents? It's really hard to communicate with the owner, or are they pulling my chain? Agents. Yeah. Oh, boy. That's a great question. I got to watch what I say because I'm using a couple agents right now on some properties. But I mean, usually try to avoid them like the plague is what I try to do. They just mess up communications. Like somebody wants to buy, somebody wants to sell. Like, why do we need somebody in the middle? I mean, yeah, they're always saying, okay, do these disclaimers and do those disclaimers and make sure you're not going to get sued doing this and doing that and watch your wording here and watch your wording there. And they're advising you, right? But they're not lawyers. They don't have like legal expertise to advise you on this stuff, but they've got a license to be a real estate agent. Yeah, so I mean they're just trying to get in the middle and get a commission, right? I mean they're trying to take a piece of the cut. That's their whole modus operandi, and you just got to understand that they want you to sign some paperwork to make sure you're going to pay them. You just got to pay them, even if you go find the property on your own. They helped you shop and learn and stuff. You still got to pay them. So just be careful of the contracts you sign with these guys. I mean, it's people buy land off the website and the agent shows up later and it's like, I got a contract with this person. It's like, go enforce it with that person. Don't talk to me. I'm not a real estate agent. Good luck collecting, you know? Yeah, Tracy Spencer, they say what they can to do to sell anything. Exactly. I start losing my words when you talk about agents. I mean, some of them are great. Some of them are spectacular. Some of them just slam out the deals. They present the property really well. They give people tours, and they're totally worth paying it. They'll figure out easements. They'll figure out access. They'll go talk to the neighbors and get it all set up so they can give tours of the property. They can show people how to get in, how to get out, what the neighbors are. And that kind of stuff I think is worth it on the bigger dollar properties where it can pay them $500 or $1,000 or something in a commission. But if it's like, $2,000 property and they want to get like $2,000 commission, yeah, right. It's not going to happen. $1,500 minimum commission or something. It's not happening. Okay, so back to the screen. So we got all this data, all these different areas. I got distracted talking about agents. So I was going to see if anyone had questions about the data and how we're searching it. I'm going to submit my request and see what kind of data we got. Let this thing run. Frankie Robbins, exactly. You still have to do your homework. You still have to study. Went by. You still have to do your homework with the county of your interest, like calling the municipal department for region you're interested in. I called the county and learned a lot. Also went on, yeah. You got to do your due diligence. Like the agents aren't going to help you build. They're going to be like, oh, talk to your builder. Let's see. Mysterious Granny. What does it mean when property is for sale, but it also says under contract? Good question. So, excuse me, guys. A little bit under the weather. When it's we'll get back to this data in a sec. I'm trying to answer questions along the way. So when it says for sale, but it's under contract, that means that I did a contract, or whoever has got it up for sale, did a contract with the person that owns the property. And the contract usually says something like, I agree to buy the property from you if and when I find somebody that wants to buy it from me, and set a price. I'll pay this amount of money and get a certain amount of time, and I'll go market it. I might get pictures. I might, figure out where the easements and the access and all kinds of stuff, and go market the thing. And if somebody wants to take off with it, great. I'll buy it from you. I'll pay you cash. I'll close the thing, and I'll do all the paperwork, and I'll sell it to the person that wants to buy it, and I'll keep something in the middle for making it happen. That's what it means when it's under contract. It means it's not fully transferred, recorded into my name yet. I used to do more deals like that. I don't do as many of them anymore, just because I don't have the time. But yeah, it usually works pretty darn well. I mean, lots of the newer ones I do that way are through title. So you're like putting your money into the title company and waiting for the paperwork to be settled before your money goes anywhere. And that works pretty well. One of the problems I've had is, the person you get the contract with passes on while you got the contract, and somebody buys the property, and then you go try to settle the paperwork, and they're dead and they can't sign it, and then it's like probate and everything else to get it to the person who bought the property. And so I just got to be like really in touch with the person that's selling it, make sure that everything's still okay. Like they're under contract, and their kids are supposed to, or the heirs are supposed to fulfill the contract and everything, but it just costs more to like do the paperwork than originally thought. I ended up losing money on those kinds of deals, and I got to pay a whole bunch of legal fees and stuff to settle it. And so that's about the only difference. That's more of my problem than your problem. Just don't die on me while we're under contract, right? Okay. Tracy Smith's house had to go after I lived there for 11 years. Yeah, sometimes it's good to just change. It's like just make some changes, open new opportunities in your life. Guys talking about handyman's, good YouTube channel. Frankie Robertson says, Luke, you're awesome. Thank you for keeping it 100. I'm going to keep going. We're going to talk about mailers, guys. I'm trying to keep this show shorter. Okay, let's go back to the mailer. So here is, man, this is hard to look at when it's really blown up, but I think it'll be easier for you guys to see it. So here's a bunch of people that own property around the outskirts of Fresno. And Campos Family Farms, Brock, Linden, whoever, Juan, Marie, Moses, Felix, Mario, Corina, Gonzalez. I might have to speak Spanish to answer these calls, guys. I'm not trying to be racist or anything, but, Garcia. There's somebody that owns a bunch of properties. Joseph Acosta. Ventana Hills Estates. 597 records. It's not a very big mailer. That should be easy. 597. Okay, so what I'm seeing when I'm looking at this, I'm not seeing the U.S. government. I'm not seeing the Postal Service. I'm not seeing the U.S. Forest Service. Here's First Christian Church of Selma. Bet you their cost basis is zero. Buy it from them for next to nothing. I'm not seeing big companies. Well, there was one back there, like Ventana, whatever. We'll just cut them out. DBH Family Limited Partnership. I'm not seeing a bunch of super sophisticated names like trusts and companies and stuff that are owning it. Like if you go pull up commercial properties, all the names are much more sophisticated. But when it comes to this kind of vacant land, it's like, yeah, here's a trust. But a lot of people just own it in Joseph Barron. Just own it in their name. It's just their name. Just simple, easy. Don't have to get fancy with it. Here's a trust. Church of God of Selma, some more land with zero cost basis. Concrete Holding Company. I mean, these churches are great to buy land from because people die and donate the land to their church. And then the church has to pay tax on it. A lot of people don't think the church has to pay tax on the land. Well, if they don't build a church there, they got to pay tax on the land. I mean, if they got to like build a church and they got to be open 1 hour a week on a regular basis to the public, and they got to have, I think it's like 6 attendees on a regular basis, or 5 or 6 or something. I think they got to be like not the same family too. I think there's some regulations about that to like get the tax waived. So vacant land, they don't meet it. They got to pay tax. The churches hate paying taxes on stuff. They love selling their properties. Everything they get, it's just all goes into the kitty, right? You buy some new carpet or some new pews or whatever, windows, roof, whatever the church needs. They sell that land. They get a cash offer. They go take it to the board and they say, hey, we got a cash offer. Maybe someone on the board wants to buy it instead. I get beat out, but usually they take those offers. I've been thinking about doing a mailer, just all the church land in the country. See what happens. Small banks and credit unions and stuff like that, it worked pretty well too. Here's a couple LLCs, but it's mostly just families. Nothing weird in here. Here's a Mennonite Brethren churches. Let's see. Couple homes. Some farming. It's just 6 pages. I'm just scanning through them, see if there's anything weird in there. 597 records at 10 cents a record. It cost me $59, or basically $60 for the data. And then I'll boil it down. I won't send multiple offers to each one of these Wilson Premier homes. I'll just send one to one of theirs and say, if you have other properties you want to sell, I'm interested in that too. There's a couple development companies in here. But there's not that much vacant land that fits the criteria. Maybe that's why it's such a hot market. It's just not a very big data set. Very big market, I guess. Yeah, someone says, all churches, yikes. it'd be interesting answering the calls from that, right? Yeah, you could just, offer all the churches that have vacant land cash. I mean, I've bought land from churches numerous times. Why not? Churches love it. They're like so happy. They tell you what they're going to spend the money on. They're just like thank you and give you a prayer at the same time. Frankie Robertson's, to be honest with you, Luke, I want your property with the trees, horses, LOL, but I'm serious though. Yeah. I think I'm going to put this house up for sale. I got guys working on the house right now. We're fixing up a couple weird things, taking it from like 70s era to modern era. And my wife hates the house. I mean, it happens, right? Like, I don't know how to explain it. I like the house. She's always wanted a place for horses. I mean, we have a rental place with horses, but she's always wanted her own place with horses. Like, she could see the horses out the window. She wanted to be able to go to the kitchen sink and see the horses, be in the living room and see the horses, look out the bedroom window and see the horses. We got that here at this house. We got that. And she's had that dream since she was, like 12 or something. And got it for her for Christmas. And we moved in a couple days before Christmas, or the day before Christmas. Got it all set up, the horses, everything. And it's pretty fast. And there's a lot of change. And she was excited and terrified at the same time, which a lot of people are when it comes to buying vacant land and buying real estate and making big decisions. And I've had numerous people call me back, after they get the land. They're like, what did I do? I can't do this. I can't. I often give them a refund or help them resell the property or something, depending on the scenario. But in this case, we bought it through realtors with all the disclaimers. You can't ask for a refund. You can't return it. And so, um, I think I'm just going to go market this house. I'll probably mark it up, I don't know, 100 grand or something, and put it on the market. Just a change in the season might do it. 'Cause nobody buys in December. A lot of people buy in the spring when it comes to schools. Um, so this house has really good schools, public schools, like 9 out of 10 kinds of ratings, 17 kids per class kind of limits. Really good stuff for kids. And avocados and horses and all that, all kinds of fruit trees, you name it, fruit trees. The neighbors even have mangoes. I was going to plant some mango trees, and but she doesn't like it, so she wants back to the old house. So I'm working on this one a bit. I'm going to sell this one, move back to the old house, and that's what we're working on. So yeah, if you want to buy this house, I mean, let me know. I might even be able to do some owner financing. I'm not 100% sure about that, but yeah, I'm sure there's a way we could figure it out. Frankie Rogers, wife rules, end of story. LOL, but true. Yeah, exactly. That's just how it goes. I agree, Frankie. I want Luke's properties too. Yeah, your wife is blessed to have a husband like you. Yeah, it's, it's a hard conversation. Oh, this is a fun house, but it's just a house, guys. We can always buy a different one. We can always I want to build one. We can build a better one. And that's it. So I think I'm gonna trade in my boat. Boat I love. It's not very kid friendly. Trade that in for one that's a little bit more kid friendly, and in the marina, go spend more time on the boat instead of working on fixing the house all the time. So there we go. Buyer's remorse, exactly. Are the horses included? Yeah, not the horses, but we could get you different horses, I'm sure. Um, so the house is in Bonsall, 92003. It's in Bonsall, California, and I'm not gonna do address just yet. Um, Nobody can find it with the address anyway, like Amazon, UPS, delivery. Nobody seems to be able to find it. The driveway's too long. It kind of looks like over here. Well, yeah, it kind of looks like this driveway up Crazy Hill. My wife drove the horse trailer down the hill, and the hill's so steep that it was raining, and it just like jackknifed on the hill. Just slow, 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 and just everything is sliding around. I mean, you can't trailer in and out of here. The hill's so steep. Same thing with the boat. You can hardly move the boat up and down the hill. Got to put the truck in like low gear. Still, it's like huff it up the hill. It's a big hill. Yeah. Okay, so this data. I'm going to pull this data. And I'm going to try to display it a little bit. I'm going to give some land away. It might take too long to pull the data. So I'm kind of sniffling today. Okay, I can hardly see this. It's just too big. Okay. Do Fresno. I'm gonna do most of this off the screen, but excuse me, guys. It's running really slow. So I'm gonna try to explain it and give some land away, because this is just taking too long. I'll do it after the show. So what I wanted to show you is I wanted to pull down the data, and I wanted to sort it, and I wanted to look at what stuff is traded for, and what it's traded for in the past, recorded history, the past 30 years or something that I have data on. And I know what it's going to look like, because I've done this a bunch of times, and it's going to be a little bit different in every area, but the same idea will hold true. There'll be a bunch of properties that traded for like $1,000, $2,000. They're probably interfamily kinds of transfers. Or maybe they're actual real transfers. I don't know. And then it'll slide up. It'll slide up, up, up. And then there'll be some crazy priced ones like $2 million or something. And that'll be the top 20, maybe 30% of the properties if I sort them by the price that they traded for. And that's only the top 20, 30% because the other 70 or 80% of the properties they haven't traded in recent history. They just haven't. They don't have any data on when they've traded. And that's the magic. Those are the ones to mail. I mean, the ones that have previously traded at $2 million, I mail them just for, just to make fun of them, but they don't sell to me. The ones that just trade for $1,000, $2,000 or something, it's probably some family action. Yeah, why not mail those too? It doesn't cost that much money. Just mail offer to all of them. And let it rip. We already cut the bottom end off with the taxes. We cut the top end off with the taxes. We might not have the properties that trade for $2 million in there anyway. We're just trying to go for the homogeneous middle and not the outliers. And go buy their land. Go buy it for half and sell it for double. And, double being like half of what the market looks like out there. So people actually buy it and take off with it. And they think they're stealing from me because I'm selling it so cheap. So they don't even ask questions. They just look at the price and say it's way too cheap. Something's wrong. They do some homework. Nothing's wrong. They buy it. And then later on they say, well, why did you sell it to me for so cheap? After they bought it and after it's all closed. And I say, because I can go get more. Because there's a lot more out there. I'll just go get more. And I'll send more offers to the same people. Maybe a month or 2 months later, 3 months later or something. And their times have changed. Their attitudes on life have changed. Things have changed. Life happens. Stuff changes. And where they didn't want to sell before, they'll sell later on. And so when other people send mail to the same area, the same price, the same whatever, it doesn't bother me because when people read those offers, they're in a different mindset than when they read my offers. Different people answer to different mailers. And it's just statistics, just the way it is, just human nature. So you pretty much always get more deals if you're doing it anything close to right. And that's just how we do. That's how we get more land. And that's how we keep filling up the website with more land. So, yeah, there was, I'm going to give some land away because I like giving land away. And a big part of this YouTube channel and this business is changing people's lives. And I'm almost going to tear up on it, but it's partly because I'm all stuffed up. But changing people's lives, because there's a lot of people that have the hopes and dreams to go have their own place to live. And they don't have the courage or the know-how to do it. And I think sharing this information, sharing this understanding that I've come to going through all these studies and angles, especially by sending out buttloads of mail and talking to tons of people on the phone that call back on all these offers that I send out, that there's a lot of land out there. And there's land for everybody. There's more land than people that want to go use it. And it doesn't look like that from the surface. It looks like land is really scarce and it's really hard to get. And it's, nobody's making any more of it, all that kind of stuff. But I think the exact opposite is true. And that's the opportunity in this business. And that's what I'm exploiting by doing these mailers and offering this land to you for really cheap. And what it does is it gives people the opportunities to own their own land. They can do it without the banks, without the realtors, without all the middlemen people. I mean, I guess I'm a middleman if I'm doing that, but I'm still doing it for sale by owner and risking my own capital, friends, families' capital that are putting into these things. And doing it for sale by owner, taking a shot the American way, right? And going for it. So if you're hip with that, go check out the land, ruralvacantland.com. Pick out the ones you like, not just the ones. Pick out a couple. Pick out some cheap ones and resell them. Have me resell them. Go resell them on your own. Sell them for more. Change your finances. Do it again and again and again. Get your nerve up to go buy some bigger dollar ones and play with a bit more. Really change your finances. I think a couple of the ones that I've got in the hopper right now, I haven't closed them, but I think there might be more than $100,000 spreads in them between buying them and selling them. And I've never done that before. And it scares me. It really does. It's like, sweat coming off my forehead. I go, ugh, when I have a conversation about that. But it's just numbers. And I used to have the sweat rolling off my eyebrow on the $2,000 ones, and now it's like cakewalk, no big deal. Done so many of them, so I just keep trudging through, going after bigger and bigger ones, and you can do that too. You can do it to change your life, change your lifestyle, change your family, change where you live, create new opportunities, and go for it. So that's part of giving away land, and part of it's for statistics and keeping YouTube happy. So here's the question. I'm gonna pull up on the screen the comments. Let's see if I can make this bigger, and see if I can jump over the comments, and maybe I can make them bigger somehow. There we go. And yeah, we got comments going by. So early on in the call, Mysterious Granny was saying what is today to her, what's special about today, and we all congratulated her on this. And so the seventh person, let's do the seventh person to answer this one. What is today to Mysterious Granny, and what did we congratulate her on towards the beginning of this call? Yeah, guys are saying birthday, exactly. So the seventh person to kick that in there, I'm going to give them a piece of land, whether they want it or not. Okay, it's going too fast, guys. Okay, so let me get back to this. So Puppy Macy and Titan, her birthday. She's the first person to say it. That's number one. Lydia Karasakov's birthday. That's number two. Angela Nadeau. There's three. 1, 2, 3. K Dragon, 4. Angela Fraser, 5. Tracy Spencer, 6. James Larson, 7. That's it right there. James Larson, number 7. Okay. James Larson, number 7. I don't think you've ever won before. I'm pretty darn sure of it. Kind of looking at my list. So James Larson, congratulations. I'm going to give you a piece of land. And I'm going to type in here the email address, if I can spell. So Gilian at ruralvacantland.com, so you can cut and paste this email address. And what I want you to do is I want you to email Gillian, my assistant Gillian, and tell her that you won the land today, the 18th of February. And this is, that you actually want the land. And I want your information. I want your name, the name that you want on the title. I should say your title. So I want your title. What title do you want the property to be in? Do you want it to be in your trust? Do you want it to be in your family name, you and your spouse, your kid's name, your church's name, your whatever charity you believe in or something? Put that in there, and we can get the land into that name. And there might be some old taxes on it. Usually not much, maybe like lunch money sized taxes or something. You might be responsible for that if you want to keep the land, keep paying the taxes. If it's crazy taxes like $500 or a couple $1,000s or something, let me know. We'll jettison that property. You can keep it anyway. You don't have to pay the taxes. And I'll get you a different one that doesn't have the crazy taxes on it. It's cheaper to buy something else and pay the crazy taxes. And it might take a little bit of time because I'm not super fast to getting the paperwork on these together. But what I'll do is I'll get the paperwork together on them, and I will send it to you with a check and envelope to send in to get it, to make it happen. And you're going to be required to sign a piece of paper that says you're the one that's going to end up with this land, or whoever you want to end up with the land. Like if you're underage, maybe you should have your parents sign, or if you're whatever, right? So sign the thing and then put it in the envelope with the check that I give you and send it off, and then they'll process it if I keep doing the same thing, Izard County properties that have been given away in northern Arkansas. They'll take a little bit of time. Eventually, they'll get the deed recorded if nothing goes wrong, and they'll send you the recorded deed. So I also need your. James Larson says not underage. There you go. I had a guy win a couple weeks ago that was underage, and he's asked me how to do the paperwork. So just put your parents on there, you know. It's totally fine. You can be underage, buy property. I don't care. Yeah. So we need your mailing address to mail this to you. Phone number would be nice to be able to contact you in case something goes wrong. In case I get a letter back from the county or the state or whoever that has some complaint about something, and we could figure out how to fix it from there, and or get some other property, or if we get shut down in that county, go to some other counties. One of the counties, Baxter County, maybe I shouldn't say names. They're threatening to keep me from doing business there. I guess I was giving away land, and it's like, what? I don't get it. Whatever. They didn't have any feet to stand on, but yeah. There you go. So there's your free land. Thank you, everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. I'm going to work on this mailer. I'm going to see if I can get some land around the outskirts of Fresno today, and or at least get it in the mail. I probably won't get any land there for a couple weeks or something. And I got a whole bunch of other deals going on I got to work on. Tracy Spencer saying, can we get the horses, Luke? Right, Frankie? You can't get the horses, but my wife runs a horse riding school, so you could ride the horses. I mean, we've got a bunch of horses you can ride in south of here a bit, Rancho Santa Fe area town. It's some nice areas. I mean, nice, beautiful area. Like got Bill Gates as a neighbor, you know, like that kind of neighborhood. So you can go ride horses there if you want. I could set you up on that. Do you have free, simple land in Hawaii? I'm planning to retire there in 30 years. No, I don't. But I was joking about trying to sell land to some of the neighbors on, I was saying what I should do is I should put a bag of dirt from the land in the envelope, in a big fat envelope, and ship it to the people. Here's a free sample of the land I got for sale. Get their attention, right? Set my offers out from everybody else's. They'll be like, who is this crazy fool? Okay, enough's enough, guys. Talk to you again next week. I plan on putting out a bunch of videos in the meantime about property-specific deals. And thank you. Thanks, everybody. Talk to you later. Bye.